Have you ever bought a sewing pattern or like some really pretty fabric and just kind of watched it sit there and rot? Not only have you never used it, but maybe whenever you see it, you also feel a little bit ashamed or frustrated with yourself that you're not using it. Whether it's sewing, knitting, painting, or playing the guitar, we all get stuck on the sidelines sometimes, including me. I'm sure, just like me, you had every intention of making something really special. You really wanted to get back into that hobby or start something new. And you want to do it because you kind of know deep down that it will make you feel good and it'll make you feel proud and feel excited about something, but you just keep getting stuck before you even start. We're gonna start by actually naming what the roadblock is that is holding you back, and then we are going to bust straight through it with so many different fun tactics that I'm so excited for you to try. A lot of them have worked in my life, and so I am excited for you to experiment and see what works for you. I asked my subscribers this question. I said, so you bought a sewing pattern, but you haven't used it yet. What's the number one element that's holding you back from starting? And with 85 total votes, 41% of you blamed a lack of time or energy. 32% are afraid that your project is going to fail or that it won't fit right. And 25% of you blame decision overwhelm. You're struggling to decide on which variations or colors or fabrics to work with for your project, and it's just not getting you there. Our mission is to push past these roadblocks, so that's why I'm creating this 3-part video series so that we can address these top 3 reasons. In this video today, I'm going to be talking just about the biggest one, which is a lack of time or energy to complete the project. So in the next video, we're going to cover decision fatigue, and after that, we're going to look at fear of failure and fear of fit issues. If you want a printable tool that'll help you really organize your approach and help put these concepts into action, check out the link in the description below for the Unstuck Maker's Toolkit. This is going to help you take it off of the YouTube universe and actually apply it to your life. I really encourage that you print it out or get it in physical copy somehow so that you can really implement it, keep it top of mind, and interact with it as we're going through. And before we begin this series, I think it's really important to address the emotions tied up in this because they can be really powerful. I want to start by dissolving any shame that you're feeling about not starting. I'm giving you permission, in case you need to hear it from someone else, that it is actually totally fine to just let some stuff go. Maybe projects that you never started or you didn't finish or you forgot about. Don't let it haunt you. Your productivity really doesn't matter here. It's totally okay if it takes you 6 months to sew your next garment, or if you started in 5 years from now, or you donate all the supplies to Goodwill tomorrow, or delete the files off your computer. That's actually completely okay. All right, everything is unfolding exactly as it's supposed to, and there's really no reason to worry or kick yourself for not doing something that you originally intended to do. Plans change, priorities change. That all being said, when you're really wanting to do something, like you actively really want to do something and it just keeps not happening. That's what I want to help you through, and I want to help you through it in the most shame-free and effective way possible. I think we can do it. You can think of the struggle kind of like exercise. Most of us don't actually look forward to exercising. It never sounds that good. It sounds pretty terrible actually. But you kind of know in the back of your head that once you get going, it'll start to feel good. And once you've completed a workout or something, you feel really good. You feel so proud of yourself and like you accomplished something. Your literal body is like radiating with joy. You know it's there. It's just getting past go. And just like exercise, sometimes you just gotta push through even if you're not feeling necessarily excited or energized or like you have the most time in the world. It's just about taking action. Let's get right to it. Here are my best actionable tips for finding time to sew. All right, let's find that time and energy that I know is lurking. My first suggestion is that you use a sewing prep checklist, basically just listing out all of those miscellaneous small prep tasks that you have to do before you start the project, and batch them and then schedule them. So when you think about starting a new project, you might get kind of overwhelmed when you start to envision all that really small crap you have to do before sewing. Like you have to print out the pattern, you have to prepare your fabric, wash it, dry it, iron it. Oh my God, the list goes on. And you start to just feel like there's this insurmountable kind of laundry list of small tasks, but they're all just floating around in your brain. And so what I want to help you do here is batch those into sort of clear, approachable, time-bound chunks. And then you can also go ahead and schedule these time-bound chunks. So this is something that I do, and I've already kind of set this whole thing up for you with my sewing prep checklist, which you can find within the Unstuck Makers Toolkit or as a freebie when you sign up for my email newsletter. But basically this sewing prep checklist, I've written down pretty much all of those prep steps, batched them into sort of like categories, put them in an order that I think makes sense, although you can always edit this. And when you see the tasks written out, you now know exactly what you need to do. And you can jump right in when you're presented with the free time that we're about to create. So you can work on this project. And then you can even schedule each of these tasks or these like clumps of tasks, like get the stuff or pattern cutting on your calendar, which I'm going to get to in a minute, how we want to do our calendar. Now let's consider where we can actually open up some time in your week. I want us to think about what activities that you're currently doing are less valuable than sewing. All right. And it is of my personal opinion that scrolling on the internet, on your phone, on the computer, looking at Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, the news, all of that is, in my opinion, less valuable for me and probably for you than scrolling is. And so a real quick win is for you to spend less time scrolling. And I also have a strong opinion that to spend less time scrolling, you should not leave it up to your willpower. Your willpower is definitely not stronger than the addictive features that they have intentionally baked into the apps on your phone. So what I want to show you real quick, I'm not going to get into the technicalities, but you can go on your phone, you can set up routines and modes so that you can turn off certain time-sucking apps on your phone during certain hours of the day or the week. Like for me, I have certain apps set to turn off on evenings after 5 p.m. through the morning before my work day. I personally set up one of these routines on my Samsung Galaxy phone recently, and it has been such a relief opening a spaciousness in my week where I felt like I didn't have the time or the energy. And the key here is to really not rely on your willpower, because if you think, oh, I'll just scroll less, then every time you go into scroll, you're going to start to shame yourself again and start to remind yourself about how you're not choosing the behaviors that you want to. So if you just set up something on your phone that makes it so you can't get into these apps at specific hours, it takes the pressure and the burden off you to constantly be the boss and the gatekeeper all the time. And I think you'll find it really valuable. So this isn't a tech channel. What I recommend you do is just Google how to disable certain apps during specific times on a blank phone. All right, let's get to the root of why you were scrolling in the first place if we're going to fill that time. So you were probably scrolling because you were looking for a mindless activity that feels almost like productive or educational. I think we all kind of trick ourselves into thinking that's what the internet gives us. But if that's what our brain truly wants, then we can see if we can fit sewing into that time. So if you're in a state of being right now in this chapter in your life where you're like, I am only capable of melting into the couch after work, then one thing you could try is to make sewing feel just as mindless as scrolling. So this might sound crazy, but you could actually do this by hand stitching a garment. Now, I know that this is not the most efficient way to do something, and we're talking about doing things quicker, but it is at least some sort of action on the project. It can be very meditative, and it can happen while you're just totally vegging out on the couch when that's all you have left in you. Basically, you can hand stitch a garment anywhere. You could do it while you're sitting in front of the TV, while you're waiting to pick your kids up from school, while you're on an airplane. The options are endless. You could stitch a garment if you're taking a long poop. All of these options are great. Along these lines, you might consider combining several of your hobbies together and kind of bundling them into the same time slot. If you are a multi-passionate person, or you're like a big socialite, or you like to spend a lot of time with your family, you could consider the options that might be out there for seeing friends while you sew. Maybe you invite your friends over, you could teach them how to sew, you could have a sewing day together. You could also teach your family how to sew as like a fun interactive activity, or your partner or your roommate. You get to feed two birds with one bird feeder, which is my nice way of talking about doing two things at once. You could also listen to your favorite audiobook while you sew, or even make it a mental health vibe time. If you typically like to cut out part of your day or your week for just like a me time or rejuvenation, you could also kind of try and throw sewing in with that as well. You could light candles. This could be your Friday night vibe. It could be when you drink wine, you eat a gummy, you drink your coffee Saturday morning. You could binge watch The Office, play your favorite music. This could kind of fit into that category spot in your schedule that you typically reserve for socializing, or for kind of having a fun night of it, make a little sewing party out of it. My next suggestion is that you put on your blinders. Be really consciously vigilant about the content that you're taking in on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you are. These are awesome tools because you get to see a lot of other projects people are working on and have created. But honestly, I think this has been a big game changer for me, is to not go on those platforms unless I'm doing a very specific search session. So if I'm looking exactly for like specific ideas on wide leg pants, because that's what I want to sew, then I will search that and save some ideas, but I won't get distracted at the same time by paper crafting and jewelry making and shirts when I'm trying to sew pants. Like, go in with a specific mission and get out, and that is why you're there. Do not get on to just randomly collect ideas. And this is because if you're collecting too many ideas, you honestly might just feel like there's not enough time. So if you're purchasing like a billion sewing patterns, or you're collecting a lot of ideas online, you are going to feel like there's not enough time to sew them all, obviously. So if you just honestly have fewer ideas smacking you in the face all the time, you're going to feel like you have more time to pursue the good ideas that you have already collected and come across and you're working on. All right, my next tips all kind of come together around scheduling and calendar work and time and setting timers, things like that. So something I know about myself is that if I just say I'm going to do something, it means not much unless I put it on my calendar. So what I suggest you do is think about when you will realistically have time to start on this project. Like, you've pulled up your sewing prep checklist and you're like, okay, I think I could buy the supplies, or I could cut out the fabric, whatever step you're on. You want to do this task. When will you realistically actually have the energy to do this? And I want you to be real with yourself, because, Is it actually Wednesday after a long day of work? It could be, but it might be more realistic on Saturday morning or Sunday evening after like a refreshing weekend, or when your partner or your kids are out of the house and no one's in your way. So kind of make an educated guess of when might be the best time to put this on your calendar. Don't set yourself up for failure. Start by literally adding it to your calendar if you have a paper calendar, a Google Calendar, whatever you're using. And unless something else really urgent comes up, I really do encourage you to push through and do the task at the time that you set it. Even if you're feeling a little bit low energy or you just, never mind, I didn't actually want to do it. I know and I agree, listen to your body. Don't push yourself when you don't need to. Follow your flow, but this is kind of like exercise. Remember that you might very likely get into the flow of it after you start doing it. So put it on the calendar, even if you don't feel like doing it at the set time, do it anyway. I want to encourage you and challenge you to do that this week. And if you like the time that you set, I encourage you to set it as a recurring event or task on your calendar so that next week at the same time, you've already got that time set out for yourself. You don't have to remember to put it in again, and you can just pick up where you last left off. Now, if you're someone who struggles with kind of committing or getting started or time management, then I want to encourage you to try out the 20-minute rule. So set a timer for 20 minutes, ideally a timer that's not on your phone, because of course, you pick up the phone, you start scrolling. Set a timer for 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever you think you can handle or what you actually have space for. And just say, I'm going to try out doing this task for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, and see how I feel. Now you can quit at the end of 20 minutes, or most likely you're going to be in the groove of it and you can go longer and keep working on it and keep up that momentum. For people who are lacking in energy, this trick helps you just get going and get started and get into the flow. And then you let the exercise itself of making and creating energize you and actually bring you kind of to life as you're working on it, and it'll fuel you forward. Now, on the flip side, if you're someone who is short on time, then really feel free to honor that 20-minute limit. You probably have other responsibilities that you want to get to after this. And so when that 20-minute timer goes off, put your supplies down, put everything down, and move on to the next task, and really honor your other commitments the way that you are honoring your sewing practice as well. All right, my last tip in this category is called if X, then Y. So this could be relational or it could be environmental. It is something like when my partner or my kid or my parent or my roommate does X thing, then I sew. When it rains on a weekend, I sew. When my partner is out of town, I sew. This one has actually really worked for me in picking back up my painting practice. I'm definitely the most likely to paint or draw something new when my partner's out of town and I kind of get that space to reconnect with myself. All right, my last tip for you here is to outsource all of the unfun parts of the sewing process. So for instance, if you have a design that you really want to bring to life, but you're not sure you have the time or the energy to do it, then just buy a pattern that someone else created. You could always kind of like hack their base pattern to get closer to the design you had envisioned. But just starting with a pattern is already going to take a lot of the sweat off. If you don't have time to tape pages together from a PDF pattern, then buy a printed pattern. If you're interested, I offer all of my Charlie Darwin patterns as prints, and it comes in a really nice envelope. The print is in full color on really nice quality paper and comes with a printed instruction booklet as well. This saves you tons of time from having to get it printed yourself or tape the pages together and all of that monkey business. And lastly, if you are someone who does not have time or energy to shop for the fabrics and research what kind of linen is the best and what's the nicest for your skin and
what is the width of the fabric and how much do I need and what thread will match the fabric and then I gotta pre-wash the fabric and which buttons look good with it.
If you don't have time or energy for any of that, I really recommend that you purchase a sewing kit. Now, I don't think a ton of sewing pattern creators offer sewing kits, but I proudly do. And I love offering them for those of you who need just a kind of quick start to jumping in the project. It comes with everything I just said, the fabric, the notions, the garment label, as well as the printed pattern so you don't have to do any of the taping, plus a full sewing tutorial video. It's a really deluxe experience. So I encourage you to try that out if you haven't yet and you're looking for a sort of quick start way to dive into a new project. Let's just wrap up, recap. How are we going to find time and energy in our lives for our sewing? You're going to start off with making a sewing prep checklist. I've already made this for you, which you can print out and edit, do whatever you want to it. This bundles up all of our tasks and makes it really easy to add them to our calendar. Then I want you to disable the apps on your phone that cause you to waste time. Disable them for any hours where you think it might be valuable for you to be sewing instead. Then you might consider making sewing feel more mindless, less of an energy sucking task. You could try doing hand stitching so you can just veg out in front of the TV or while you're on the phone with a friend so that you can really just float through the project over time and you will finish it, I promise. Then you might consider combining your hobbies and don't forget to put on your blinders. We do not want to have so much content thrown at us and so many ideas that we are on overwhelm and we don't have time to pursue them all. Number 6, I want you to protect your time. You can even put any calendar, I forgot to mention this earlier, but anything you put on your calendar, you could consider putting on a shared or family calendar with your partner so that everyone knows when you are sewing. A trick here for getting started if you're low on energy is the 20-minute rule. Set a timer for 20 minutes. And number 8, if X happens, then I sew. Lastly, outsource all of the unfun stuff. I'm happy to be the one to do all that unfun stuff for you so that you can get started. I really want you to spend time creating things that you love and have fun doing it. All right, now it's your turn. I want to know, what are your best hacks to get started when you don't feel like you have a lot of time or energy on your hands? I listed a lot of cool ones here, and I want to know which ones of mine you're going to try first. And if you have any tips for the rest of us, we'd love to know. Now, don't forget, if you want the really cool tool that'll help you actually put these roadblock busters into action, then you want to grab the Unstuck Maker's Toolkit, which I'm offering for free right now on my website. The link is in the description below, and you can also add it on to the OLENE sewing pattern. This is a new sewing pattern that I just published. It's for a pair of pants that you could make long or short or cropped, and they're just so fun and simple to sew. It's a great project to do if you're just getting back into sewing or starting for the first time. They're very beginner friendly, and I think it's a project that once you start, you're going to sail right through it. I know pants are daunting, and that's why video number 3 is going to be all about facing your fear of failure and the fear of getting a bad fit. We're going to address all that and more this week. I'm so happy to have you here. Let me know if you have any questions about the new pattern, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. All right, bye.